Hey there, Broncos fans. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Sam Brown, and today's show is presented by Manscaped. Head on over to manscaped.com and use promo code Broncos, and you can save 20% off plus free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 we'll talk about here in a little bit after we break down some pretty interesting news around potentially the Denver Broncos schedule and a free agency signing. The Denver Broncos 2021 schedule has reportedly been leaked, and so we're going to dive through it game by game. Remember, leaked schedule, not entirely official yet, but we'll keep you updated with more, if there are any schedule changes, of course. Week 1 through 4, you saw it on your screen. We'll jump to Week 5 at the Steelers versus the Ravens, the Browns and the Raiders, the Browns and Washington, Weeks 5 through 8. Moving on to the back half of the schedule, Week 9 at the Cowboys, Week 10 against the Eagles, back-to-back NFC East matchups. Week 11 back-to-back division games against the Chargers in Week 12 and at the Chiefs in Week 13. And then the final stretch to close out the season, Week 14 against the Lions, Week 15 against the Bengals, two very winnable games for Denver. Week 16 and 17 at the Raiders and Chargers. And then Week 18 rounding out the season at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, a leaked schedule for the Denver Broncos for the 2021 NFL season. Now, will the Broncos win over or under 8.5 wins in the 2021 season? Remember, a 17-game schedule, but the official odds, the Broncos at 8.5, just above 500, hovering around that 500 line. So if you think they'll win more, 9 or more, type your O for under in the comments section. But if you think they're going to go less than 8.5 wins, 8 or less, type your U for under. All right, we ran through it pretty quickly. We'll go down a little bit more game by game here. Week 1 against the Giants on the road. Week 2 against the Jaguars. Again, three very winnable games for Denver at the top of the schedule. Those two games, the Jets at Week 3, they're obviously their toughest game to date up to that point against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 4, one that I'm certainly looking forward to. This is going to be a true test to see how much really progression that Denver has made this offseason. They'll have a few weeks to kind of find their feet under them before they host Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who I'm sure gearing up for potentially another deep playoff run, hopefully a Super Bowl run this time around. Should be a good test for the Denver Broncos in Week 4. Now the schedule is out as soon as it came out. Hopped in front of the camera, and here we are filming a Broncos video for you guys, the lovely Broncos fan base. If you like what you're seeing, if you want more videos like this, do us a favor, hit that big red button and subscribe. We're getting real close to 3,000 subs. There's about 150 away. I want to get there as soon as possible. Start catching up to some of these other channels we have here at Chat Sports that are almost pushing double digits now. I know the Broncos Breakdown can get there, but we need your help to do it. So be sure to subscribe, or if you're watching not on YouTube, go to the link below me right here, youtube.com/Broncos TV. All right, weeks 5 through 8, the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 5, another tough matchup. 3 AFC North matchups over the span of 4 weeks with the Ravens in Week 4, the Steelers in Week 5. We'll talk about the Browns here in a second, Week 7. Raiders in Week 6, another division game that I think the Broncos can win there at home. I think ideally you want to split the Raiders and the Chargers. We'll talk about them later on as we wind to the part of the schedule that's more AFC West loaded. Talking about the Browns, Week 7, a big matchup against Baker Mayfield. This Browns team has done a lot this offseason, arguably one of the biggest winners. They're a sneaky Super Bowl pick for a lot of teams, but they're not even sneaky anymore. After the moves that Andrew Berry made this offseason, they're looking like a really good team. Another good litmus test for Denver. Traveling to Cleveland, really a tough road game in that dog pound. I think Denver could hang with Cleveland, but again, a litmus test kind of Week 7, Week 8 to see where they are at that midway point of the season. I think that'll be a big determining factor of where Denver could be as we approach the late parts of the season. Predict the Broncos, what is the Broncos' best game going to be this season? Get your votes in the comments section. That's a good one right there against Cleveland. I think the Chiefs matchups are really enticing as always, especially if they can manage to maybe make it tough in Denver like they did just this past season. But get your votes in the comments section. I want to hear from you. Who do you think the Broncos' toughest game of the season will be? Again, today's show presented by our great friends over at Manscaped. And you too can get hooked up with Manscaped thanks to us and them, go to manscaped.com and use promo code Broncos. When you do that, you'll be able to save 20% off and get free shipping on the brand new Lawnmower 4.0. This bad boy just dropped last week, and it's got a ton of new features, a longer battery life. You see that light right there in the bottom over by their new logo. Interesting new logo, by the way. But that new light battery will actually tell you where your battery is at in levels of thirds, and of course a wireless charger. It's 2021. If you're plugging in anything, if you're not putting something on a platform to charge it, you're doing wrong. Manscaped's got you covered. Lawnmower 4.0, wireless charging, longer battery life, and of course that light at the end of the tunnel to help you get into those hard to reach places. Again, manscaped.com, use promo code Broncos for 20% off and free shipping. All right, like I said, moving over to the back half of the Broncos 2021 schedule now. At the Cowboys and versus the Eagles, back-to-back NFC East matchups. A much-needed bye in a really good spot at Week 11 because the last 7 games are going to be tough, starting with Week 12, hosting Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers, the battle of the young quarterbacks. Justin Herbert certainly at a much better position than Drew Lock is right now. That's a matchup that I'm really looking forward to in Week 12 between the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers. Week 12, like I said, November 28th, getting down to the later parts of the season. December right around the corner, but this is certainly a tough test on Thanksgiving weekend against Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. Brandon Staley, the brand new head coach, certainly looking to build a young budding organization there with their quarterback of the future. Will the Broncos know who the quarterback of the future is? Maybe yes, maybe no. Only time would tell. And if it's yes, that may be a good thing or a bad thing. Now, if you think the Broncos will still make the playoffs, I want you to hit that like button. We still got some Broncos fans that believe, certainly, that Denver can turn it around, get back to their former glory, get to the postseason, and make a run in the playoffs. Hit that like button if you agree with me. Hey, the Chiefs are likely to win the AFC West. I think we can maybe say that, but those wild card spots up for grabs. So if you think the Broncos can squeeze into one of those, I want you to go down and like this video. Like I said, the Chiefs in Week 13, so we'll show you the last 5 games now. Week 14 and 15, I think these are 2 must-win games for Denver if they are in the race for the playoffs, against the Lions and against the Bengals, both games at home. Week 16 is another big game. Like I said, 4 of the last 5 are must-wins and games that Denver can win. And we'll start here with Week 16 at the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. I think that stadium's going to be popping if there are fans at the stadium. And Denver's going to have to bring their game. Vegas is no team to slouch about. I know we can make the Broncos-Raiders argument all day long. I think they're right neck and neck. I might give the slight edge roster-wise to the Broncos right now overall, but it certainly remains to be seen how both of these teams will play in the 2021 season. I think Denver has to pull a win either at home or on the road against both the Raiders and the Chargers as we make our way back to the last 5 games of the schedule. Week 17 against the Chargers. If they don't beat them at home earlier in the season, I believe it was Week 6 Week 12. Week 12 against the Chargers on the road coming off the bye or at home. But they got to win one of those games. Split the season series against the Raiders. Split it against the Chargers. If you can get one against the Chiefs, even better. But that divisional tiebreaker is going to be huge when it comes to that last wild card spot. If there are a couple of those teams, whether it's 2 of the Raiders, Chargers, or Broncos, that are in the mix for that final wild card spot. So you saw the schedule, top to bottom. Predict their record. I want to hear it in the comments section. If you think they're over 8.5 wins, you got to give me at least 9-8, 10-7. Remember, 17-game schedule, so no more of that 10-6, 9-7, 11-5. None of that. Add an extra game to your total, whether it's an extra win or an extra loss. I said it last week, and I'll stick to it. I like 10-7 for this Broncos team. Maybe a sneaky pick. To get your votes in the comments section. And in case you forget, you missed any of those games, forgot any of those games, we'll run back through the schedule hyperdrive. Week 1 and 2 at the Giants and at the Jaguars. Week 3 against the Jets. Big test early on, Week 4 against the Baltimore Ravens at home. Then they travel at Pittsburgh in Week 5. Week 6 back in Denver to host the Raiders. Week 7, quick turnaround, short week to host the Cleveland Browns. Travel to the Cleveland Browns. That's a game I'm looking out for. Week 8 hosting Washington. 3 straight NFC East games, Week 9 and Week 10 at the Cowboys versus the Eagles. A much-needed bye after 10 weeks in Week 11. And then the final stretch loaded with AFC West games, 5 in the last 7 weeks. Starts Week 12 and Week 13 against the Chargers and at the Chiefs. And then the final 5 games, the Lions, the Bengals, at the Raiders, at the Chargers, and against the Kansas City Chiefs. There's your full breakdown, top to bottom, of the Denver Broncos 2021 schedule. Some news that came about on the Broncos Breakdown here late on a Wednesday afternoon. I'm your host, Sam Brown. As always, the Broncos have signed right tackle Bobby Massie. Still some details to break down, but we'll talk about what we know as of now. The right tackle, formerly of the Chicago Bears, signing a 1-year, $4 million deal to play with the Broncos next season. This is obvious what it's become. This is a Jawan James replacement type signing after the Jawan James injury. Broncos looking for some offensive line replacements. They signed Pope earlier on, and now they go ahead and sign Bobby Massie. Now you look at this Broncos depth chart. I'm going to go ahead and slot Bobby Massie in at right tackle. Calvin Anderson's reign as the starting right tackle lasted, a week? Something like that. Bobby Massie in at right tackle, Anderson back in a backup role. Right tackle is suddenly a question mark now. We'll dive a little bit more into what Bobby Massie can bring to the table, but nonetheless, this isn't certainly a signing that's supposed to replace the quality of Jawan James altogether if he was supposed to bring that quality that he had before he signed with the Denver Broncos. But I want to hear from you in the comments section. Grade the Bobby Massie deal for me. Go back to school. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. I'm curious what you guys have to say about this, and you can actually add plus or minuses. You can cheat the system a little bit, just like I'm about to right now. My grade is a C+. Nothing huge. Doesn't really move the needle for me. It's obvious what Denver's trying to do. It was right after the draft. They weren't in a position where they could have drafted a left tackle. Probably would have changed their right tackle. Probably would have changed a lot of their draft strategy going in if they had known that Jawan James was going to be hurt. So it's a C+ grade for me. Massie's a solid tackle. Nothing special, though, as we look at his 2020 stats. Allowed 3 sacks, 3 hits, 10 hurries with the Bears. Was also injured part of the year. Run grade is 64.7. So decent, but it's nothing to love. You know, if you're looking for a guy to upgrade from Jawan James, Bobby Massie just isn't it. Bobby Massie just isn't it. And it remains to be seen how he'll look in a Broncos uniform next year. I want to be optimistic. And, you know, he's 31 years old, still has some legs left, but this is very much the panic signing for sure for the Denver Broncos, having to adjust after the Jawan James injury. We'll see how he plays. I think he'll open as the right tackle, the starting right tackle. Maybe you shift Quinn Miners there, give him some snaps. I know he's a little bit built more for the interior offensive line, but this is nonetheless, I think, a signing to consider, and I think will obviously play at least a solid role, if not as a starter, then certainly as a rotation piece. But the Denver Broncos signing Bobby Massie, some late news here on a Wednesday afternoon, just popped in front of my timeline, and you know me, I want to keep you up to date here on the Broncos Breakdown. As soon as we found out, came out, made a video for you. Just a reminder, last minute, be sure to subscribe to the Broncos Breakdown. Put in a ton of work to grow this channel and get the best possible content for you guys. Like I said, I was standing 3 feet to my right here where producer Jeremy is sitting, doing my job. The Broncos schedule comes out. It leaks, by the way. Be sure to stay tuned in case there are any updates. And they signed Bobby Massie all in a span of 10 minutes. Here we are making a video for you guys. So if you like more content and you want more content, be sure to hit that big red button and subscribe.